Hello my sewing friends! Today I'm going to show you how to make a simple denim skirt with patch pockets on the front. So let's go ahead and get started. These are all the materials that you will need for this sewing project. Fabric is pre-shrink. Don't skip that step if you want your skirt to fit after you washed it. So the first thing you want to do is figure out where the grain of the fabric is. As you can see here, the grain is going this way, so I'm going to place my pattern that way as well. The reason why it is important because you don't want the fabric to drape or you don't want it to stretch. That's why you have to follow the grain of the fabric. Now I'm going to cut out the back piece first because it is going to be on fold, so I will have one piece for the back and two pieces for the front. And if you notice, I just fold the placket while I was cutting the back piece, and now I'm cutting the front pieces. I open up the placket and I'm just going to cut it just like I did earlier. So this skirt is going to have buttons on the front, so I am going to have two pieces for the front panels. If you would like me to make a tutorial on how to make this skirt pattern, be sure to leave a comment down below so I can make that happen for you guys. After you cut out the pieces, transfer the darts on the fabric so you won't forget about it. It's time to cut out the details of the skirt. I will be adding two patch pockets on the front of the skirt. This is the same patch pockets I used for the paper bag shorts that I created a few months ago. Now I am going to cut out the waistband. It is about 4 inches wide and the length is 28 inches, including the seam allowances. Now it's time to work on the patch pockets. First, I am going to stay stitch this angled corner right here. This is to prevent stretching. I am sewing it along the 1/2 inch seam allowance that I gave for this patch pocket. After that, I serge the raw edge and I'm going to fold it in. I press the seam allowances as well, and then I am going to hem it. The reason why I am hemming the pockets first because when I top stitch it on the skirt, it should be finished already because it will be difficult to hem it later on if it's already sewn on the skirt. Now I am going to be working on the front skirt panels. I am going to press the plackets by 2 inches and I'm going to fold it in one more time by 1/2 inch to hide the raw edge, and I'm going to press it so it's going to be much easier to sew. And I'm just going to top stitch it along the edge here as close to the fold as possible. You can also use a contrasting thread color if you want to, just like what you will see on Levi's jeans, but today I decided to use blue. And always backstitch so the threads will not unravel. This is to show you the difference if you don't stay stitch this angled part right here. As you can see, it is wavy and it's not laying flat and it looks awful. This is the one that I stay stitch. As you can see the difference, it is flat and it looks beautiful. If you are enjoying this tutorial, don't forget to give this a thumbs up. So yeah, thank you for doing that. And then I am going to top stitch it as close to the edge of the pocket piece as possible. As you can see, once I reach the corner, I just lift up the presser foot, I pivot the fabric, and then continue on sewing. For extra detail, I decided to sew another row of stitching along the edge. As you can see, it looks super nice, and yeah, it's all about the detail. Now it's time to stay stitch the waistlines of the skirt. I should have done this earlier on the front, but I didn't. But I am doing it now. It's never too late. Either way, I am making this skirt for my niece. So yeah, I hope she will like it and I hope it'll fit because this is my first time to make a pattern for someone else. After that, it's time to sew the side seams of the skirt. I match the right sides of the fabrics. If you are still watching the tutorial, thank you so much for staying with me. We are halfway there. This skirt is almost done. And then I am going to press the seams open. I'm also going to press the actual skirt so it will look professional. Now I am going to close the darts. Actually, I should have done this earlier before I even put the skirt together and the pockets together, but luckily I was able to save the project. Yay! So don't do the same mistake like I did. Sew the darts first before you put the pockets on. I seam ripped this top edge right here so I can dart it properly, and luckily I didn't have to remove the whole entire pockets. Yay! Once you sew the darts, you're just going to proceed like I'm going to show you in the next step how to attach the waistband. Imagine I closed the darts because I didn't feel like redoing the whole entire project. It's time to attach the waistband. The skirt waist is 27 inches and I want the waistband to be 28 inches, including the 1/2 inch seam allowances on each sides or each end. After I sewn the side seams, I am going to trim off the corner of the waistband, so when I turn it right side out, it's going to give me a sharp corners. I'll just use my scissors to push out the corners of the waistband so it is nice and sharp. After that, I press in the seam allowance inside the waistband as you can see here, and then I am just going to put the skirt inside the waistband, basically sandwiching the skirt waist inside the waistband, and I'm going to pin it to secure. There is another way of attaching a waistband. One of these days I am going to show you how to do that, but for this tutorial I am just going to keep it simple. And then I am just going to sew along the edge where I placed the pins. I am going to top stitch it as close to the edge as possible. Just be certain that you are catching the fabric at the back as well. If not, that's okay. You have to stop and you have to redo it. That's exactly what happened here. So I started over, I adjusted the allowance. Instead of doing close to the edge, I decided to do about 1/8 of an inch instead. I top stitch it all the way around. It will give the waistband some stability as well as some extra detail. Now it's time to add the buttons. I am super excited about it because these buttons are no-sew. I basically just spaced the buttons 3 inches apart from each other, but it's totally up to you. So I used the button as my guide to how long the buttonhole is going to be, and then I just drew a line across, and I will repeat the same thing on the rest of the buttonholes. By the way, I got these buttons from Amazon and they are cheaper than in Joann's, so I suggest you just get it from Amazon. And I'm going to have the link in the description box below. Here is the closer look of the markings that I am going to use for the buttonholes. So I have a tutorial on how to use a buttonhole maker if you have that feature on your sewing machine. Thing is, you have to practice first before you use it on your actual garment, because some sewing machine will start from the top. On my sewing machine, it starts from the bottom. Okay, we are almost finished with this skirt. So I simply use the buttonholes as my guide to where to place the buttons. So as you can see here, I just poke a hole on the other side of the placket, and then I'm going to insert the screw. So this goes at the back. And then I am going to match it with the button, just like this. And I'm going to hammer it. And then I'm going to start hammering. I actually whack it quite a few times. As you can see, the table was shaking. The button is now properly installed, and I am just going to repeat the same steps on the rest of the buttons. I also cut the buttonhole so I can test out if the button will fit. Just be sure that you don't cut the buttonhole so big that it's going to be loose. Now all what's left to do is hem the skirt, and I already have a tutorial on how to do that. If you want to learn or if you want to watch that, I am going to have the link in the description box below. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoy this tutorial, don't forget to give this a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. I post new sewing tutorial every week. Feel free to check out my other sewing videos. I have over 300 for you to learn from. I hope you will come back next time. Bye!